Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast battle report. Today we're using the Heralds of Ruin kill team rules to play 200 points of Dark Eldar versus 200 points of Imperial Fist Space Marines in this war-torn sector of the battlefield. We're looking for relics. Let's begin. Armies. This is Evan's Imperial Fists. They're coming along nicely. Look really cool. So Heralds of Ruin, check the link down below to see the kill team rules. It's 200 points and they have their own little codices and stuff. Basically it's kill teams with balance. So I'm gonna let Evan go through his army list here.
Okay, I have a Codicere, so he's level 2 and he's rolling on Biomancy, and he got Life Leech and Warp Speed. I have 2 Stern Guard veterans. I have 5 Tactical Marines. One of them has a las cannon. And lastly, the Librarian has a Purity Seal upgrade, which allows his Inspiring Presence to be 12 inches, not 6.
That's pretty cool. And they're going against some dirty Dark Eldar raiders. So I haven't brought Hellions out in forever. I thought I'd bring out some Hellions. We have a Heliarch, who's the leader of the little band of misfits. And then we've got 6 Hellions, because I'm allowed to take more than 5 because I have a Heliarch, so I'm taking 6. I have 3 Reaver jet bikes, and I have a beast pack. So it's just basically a hunting pack, and they've gone out to search for the relics. Okay, so we're putting down 6 different relics on the table, and 5 different relics on the table, and they're like a relic. You can pick them up, move them around, and it's table quarter deployment, etc, etc. So we'll be back after deployment. Wish us luck. Amongst the ruined battlefield, the armies get ready to clash over the relics. We have 1 relic somewhere around here, right here. We have another one by this Stern Guard. We have another one in the middle of the board. We have another one by the beast pack. We have packs of Hellions and Reavers ready to pounce on the Space Marines and the girls. Vect decided to drop them off. We have to go pick them up. Okay, so the Imperial Fists are going to be going first, unless I roll a 6 on this big, oversized dice. Okay. For the girls! Ah, that's a 1. Because Games Workshop loves to make you hate your faction. Okay, on to Imperial Fist, turn 1. Space Marines have gone into a big line like Space Marines do. Warp Speed was cast on the Librarian, and they fired into the Beast Pack, but they passed any saves they were required to make. And then it's kind of like More Time, where if you do enough damage to a unit, it could fall over or nothing could happen. So nothing happened to my little dog. And then this Stern Guard is coming up the flank, and that las cannon failed to wound this Hellion. He's the luckiest bugger alive. Okay, so we're moving on to Dark Eldar, turn 1. And the Beast Pack is going to hide, which means it can't be shot at and stuff. It's pretty cool. They're just going to sit there and hide. And the rest of the army will do some damage. Okay. So these guys went into hiding. These Hellions jumped out and in a desperate gambit tried to take out that Stern Guard and failed. We had this Reaver jet bike grab this little relic and jump that way, while we had all these Hellions literally gang up on the one little Stern Guard that's sitting there. But the Stern Guard didn't do any damage. My Hellions didn't do any damage. It's a stalemate, so they're just sitting there looking pretty. Okay, and now we're moving on to Space Marine turn 2. What will the Space Marines do? So, we had this entire flank of Space Marines fire into these Hellions that were trying to flank the position, forcing them all to go to ground, putting wound tokens, which is a mechanic in the Herald of Ruin, which means that they're basically getting slowly wounded. It helps you take them out and kill them. In combat at the back, behind the Bastion, we had a Space Marine charge in. The Stern Guard has taken a wound token, Two of the Hellions have hit and run all the way over here to try and gang up on the other Stone Guard next to that relic. And we're moving on to the second turn for the Dark Eldar. The Hellions are now going to be back up. The Beast Pack broke from hiding, charged into that Marine, put 3 wound tokens on it, and took 1 wound on the Razorwing Flock. While the 2 Hellions that were by that Stern Guard knocked the Stern Guard out, and he is incapacitated for the game, and then they consolidated behind this cover. While over here in the combat, I put 1 more wound token on the Marine, and then I put another, and then the Stern Guard ran away as the Reaver Jetbike came into the fray with his blade veins doing some damage. So we're moving on to, oh, and then this Reaver Jetbike over here started skirting away with that objective. And we're going on to Space Marine turn 3. The Devastator once again devastatingly missed the Reaver Jetbike. And, well, didn't miss, but just failed to wound. These bolters over here aimed true and murdered one of the Hellions. The other one has taken a pile of wounds. He's limping on his Hellion Skyboard. The Librarian charged in, failed to cast warp speed, and then charged in. And he's taken a wound. The Marine's alive, and the Razorwing Flock has taken another wound. And on this flank, the Stern Guard rallied, charged in. No damage was dealt on either side. And I've hit and run out of this combat. So, we're moving on to the Dark Eldar turn 3. Let's see what the rest of the game will bring. The Hellions and the Reaver broke from cover, charged into the 2 Space Marines. This combat continued with no effects. The last cannon Devastator is devastated. I am not going after him.
Not really.
These guys over here, still numpty fight, with nothing going on in this Reaver Jetbike. Just jumped down after shooting. And then nothing else here, except the pain of glorious combat as we move on to turn 4. Warp speed on the Librarian saw the entire Beast Pack run down after failing morale testing combat. At least that's how we think it works. And then all the Marines have kind of moved around. And I hit and ran out of combat, so I've got guys everywhere. We're at the back here, hit and ran out of combat, and then he fell back from combat as well. And now we're moving on to Dark Eldar, turn 4. Okay. Capturing this objective in the back with a very badly wounded Hellion. This Hellion failed to rally and has continued to run. I charged in to pin these 2 Marines into place, but I've taken some wound tokens, and this Reaver Jetbike in the back has hit and run away to leave the Librarian out of close combat. And in the back here, both the Stern Guard and the Marine are still alive, but they are very badly wounded with 4 and 6 wound tokens each. So moving on to turn 5, could be the end of the game, and it's all about these objectives. Combats were ineffective, but now we have this objective captured by the Marines. This objective back here, the Librarian failed to charge, captured by the Reaver Jetbike. The last cannon failed to wound this Hellion, so he's capturing that objective. And there's a Reaver Jetbike that hit and ran back here to capture that objective, and both my Heliarch and my Reaver Jetbike have hit and run away from those combats. Note to self, bring power weapons when dealing with Space Marines. And we're moving on to the Dark Eldar 5th turn. What will happen? The Space Marines are holding true. They're battered and wounded, but the Emperor is making their armor be awesome. Okay, turn 5. This Hellion decided to continue to fall back and didn't rally again. This guy, they fired into these Marines, didn't do anything. We had 1 more Hellion die horribly to a warp-speeded Librarian who's around the back there. And now we're going on to turn 6 for the Dark Eldar. I'd forgotten that he was fearless last turn. Oh, and then the Stern Guard finally died as the Reaver Jetbike cut him down. Moving on to turn 6. I wasn't able to kill any Marines, but I did pull the objective away. Pull the objective back here with the Hellion and the Reaver, and this guy stayed on this objective. So right now, I'm controlling every objective on the board. The Marines needed to go on in order to gain some semblance of honor. It ends. At the end of the game, we had the Dark Eldar kill team with the Heralds of Ruin capture all 5 of the relics, which is really good in a campaign setting because each relic captured gives me special cool stuff. And then I got a lot of guys that are completely wounded, so I'm probably going to lose a couple of Hellions from the warband. But that is what Hellions are for. Yeah, 4 of them. Yeah, the Hellion Reavers bands. So make sure you check the links down below. Become a community patron member of the SkaredCast community below. Also, check out on Spiky Bits. We have some articles going up there. And Veterans of the Long War. Also get access to exclusive patron videos. Okay. This is Skari, your grateful host. Thank you, Evan, for the game.
Anytime. Anytime.
Oh, no, my... Okay.
Spiky Bits.
Spiky Bits. Okay, have a good one, everybody. And stay tuned for the Tactical Corner, because it was quite fun and tactical. Okay, bye. Hello, and welcome to another Tactical Corner. Today, Heralds of Ruin kill teams. I decided to run 200 points of Reavers and Hellions and Beast Packs. Nothing but fast-moving, nasty Dark Eldar Horde style kill team against a very elite Space Marine army, couple of Stern Guard and a tactical squad with a level 2 3-wounded Librarian, which was very powerful in a very small game. So the mission itself was interesting. I highly recommend you go check the links down below to the Heralds of Ruin blog and get the rules. It's very cool rules for skirmish level games. And it was all about these relics. So they're movable objectives. Now, my plan was simple. I needed to isolate the Space Marines, small units at a time, and be able to have 2 or 3 of my models fighting 1 or 2 of his models at any one point in time. I knew that I was not going to be able to deal with the Space Marines as a group. This was helped as, you know, Evan ended up splitting up his forces, and this meant that I was able to focus on one flank to really do some damage to the Stern Guard, and then draw another Space Marine from the center, while the other 3 Hellions and a Reaver jet bike held up the main fighting force by not dying in the middle. Now, the dynamic is quite interesting. Once you've taken a model to its final wound, you roll and add a number of wound tokens, and sometimes they get knocked down or pinned, and they will rarely get taken off the table unless you roll really well. Now, this means that the units themselves, even though they're quite flimsy and they were Dark Eldar, the chances are that they were going to be sticking around in order to complete the mission objectives and parameters. The Beast Pack was pivotal as it was able to sacrifice itself. It was fast moving, ignoring terrain and whatnot, to really get into the nitty-gritty in the center of the table. Now, I knew they were going to die, but I really was trying to isolate the Space Marines, and ideally that's exactly what I did, using the Reaver jet bikes to capture the objectives and pull the objectives out of position for the Space Marines, only to then have the Hellions come in and tag team on a couple of Space Marines at any one point in time. So all in all, I really enjoyed the dynamic of this rule set with the Heralds of Ruin, and I highly recommend that you check it out. Each army has its own specific army list that you can download and go through, and has its own little rule set. Ideally, I want to be playing with the Harlequins. I just need to get them all painted. But I thought you guys might like to see and appreciate the subtle tactics that goes into a very small scale game. I played to the mission, I played to the strengths of my army, which was speed, and was able to overwhelm the Space Marines with targets and using special abilities like hit and run, as well as other abilities like Furious Charge later in the game to really start doing some lasting damage. Other than that, thanks a lot for tuning in. Join the SkaredCast community, become a patron today. Follow the link down below to learn more about becoming a patron. Check the other links, and this is Skari, your grateful host. Out!